I applaud her for her efforts. And look forward to her sharing anecdotes of her struggle on behalf of Diwali Forever. Also, I may be pardoned if I take the liberty with an established adage and twist it a bit and say, behind every successful woman stands a strong man. I welcome in our midst Mr. Ravi Batra, the man who stoutly supported Ranju's efforts. The United Nations is the natural home of diversity in terms of languages, cultures, traditions, political systems and orientations. Yet, it is equally the home of the common striving for universal good, peace, development and prosperity. This event today is a reflection of the commonalities that bind us despite our diversity. It brings to my mind an ancient Indian saying in Sanskrit, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahida Vadanti. This means the truth is one, though the wise describe it in many ways. I thank you all for joining in this celebration of the pluralistic essence of humanity, and I am grateful for all those who have risen and supported this endeavor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador. Now I'm pleased to give the floor to the next speaker. And I have to say I'm pleased because the next speaker is my own boss. I have to give the floor to His Excellency Valentin Rybakov, Deputy Foreign Minister of Belarus. Yes, Lord, Minister happens to be in charge of bilateral relations in my country with all 12 countries that celebrate Diwali as an official holiday. Some may think it's a coincidence. I think it's a providence. Minister, you have the floor.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, my very good friend, the Ambassador of Belarus, has just lamented his unfortunate ignorance of the great festival of Diwali. Well, I guess I myself am lucky to have been blessed with the knowledge of this great festival and great tradition for the past. It's even scary to tell you, for the past 37 years. Because it so happened that very early in my professional career, as a young Russian English interpreter, I was stationed in the Soviet embassy in New Delhi, in India, and I had a chance, of course, to see the amazing natural mixture of colors of life of this great country. I admired it, I loved it very much, the beauty and the wisdom of the traditions of the people of India. And I warmly cherish my memories of that time, and that is why I am especially thankful to the organizers of this event for the honor of participating in this unique ceremony. I think it is only too right that the great festival of lights, Diwali, has finally taken ground in the diplomatic capital of the world. Not only because it is celebrated by so many people in the world, but I think no less a claim to the prominence of this festival is the universal, captivating and overpowering message of Diwali. Light over darkness, good over evil, knowledge over ignorance, and hope over despair. Actually, it looks like a perfect motto for the place that we call the United Nations. The ambassador explained the reasons for the permanent mission of Belarus to take up the responsibility of one of the hosts for this event. And I will have to tell you that this outlook on the world, attitude to those close to you and also distant friends comes to Belarusians very naturally. I sometimes even think that a special friendship building and peacemaking gene might be embedded somewhere in our genetic code. Even so, I was really startled, to say the least, when my colleagues from the mission have shown me a list of co-sponsors for this event, focused on the tradition of a single culture. Over the years, I attended many thematic events where nations of the world were sharing with the world the beauty, wonder, and uniqueness of their own customs and heritage. To see so many countries where Diwali is not widely present, let alone observed as a national state holiday, to lend their sponsorship and support to this initiative is a real treat. Not just to acknowledge and accept the diversity in this world, but to celebrate it, and not generally, but in very practical terms, of a specific tradition and specific culture. And for me, this is a convincing expression of the very meaning of human openness, empathy, and kindness. Seeing these subtle but telling manifestations of magnanimity gives me bigger hope about how much more united our nations can really be. And last but not least, today we celebrate not only the great Festival of Lights and, as I understand, not so much the joys of stamp collecting, but also Ranju Bhadra's truly magnificent labor of love. Her passion and tenacity made this dream of many a reality. And on behalf of Belarus, as one of the co-hosts of this ceremony, I have the honor to express our sincere admiration with her accomplishment. That is a wonderful testimony of the power of one. Most of our achievements are usually collective, but they all start with a single daring dream, with a single beating heart, with a single soul that believes that one can make a difference. I thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker has captivated the minds and hearts of many of his peers at the United Nations and has enabled organizer of a successful campaign against his homeland to represent the vast expanse of Asia and the Pacific as the next non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. From January 1st, he will be consumed with work 24/7 in the name of the security of the world, right in the adjacent chamber, but tonight we are lucky to have him with us. His Excellency Kairat Abdrakhmanov, permanent representative of Kazakhstan to the United Nations. You have the floor.
Madam President, Minister, my dear friends, Ambassadors Albar and Andrei, dearest friends and supporters of the United Nations, Honorable Ravi and Ranju Bhadra. This evening we gather for a very special and unique event. It is the launch of the extraordinary May Diwali stamp in the United States postal system. I was a dear friend, his Majesty's Ambassador Matthew just left, he could prove it. So it was a part of postal reforms promoted by Sir Rowland Hill. Since then, other countries adopted the system of stamps, Kazakhstan among them, but we started doing it only 25 years ago after gaining our independence. And the stamp, as we all know, is more than a piece of rectangular paper stuck on an entity to be dispatched. Although serving a monetary purpose of transmitting mail, the graphics chosen by each country portray its culture. Illustrations on postage stamps have ranged from the early portrayals of kings, in case of my country and of my part of the world of Hans, queens and presidents, ships, birds and satellites, celebrities, historical comics, hobbies, sports, including Olympic champions, and now we enjoying a photo exhibition provided by our colleagues from Greece, Monaco, and Germany, and also a wealth of other subjects too numerous to list. However, the concept of the flame with an oil wick in the little clay pot is most significant, for it has deep symbolism. It stands for the forces of good over evil, as it was said before, of light over darkness, of hope over despair. And in today's world of daunting challenges of extremism, fear, xenophobia, the light of Diwali could not be more meaningful, since light radiates goodness, love, and compassion that we can share with each other. And the light does not discriminate and discern, and spreads its radiance to all. The subjects found on the face of postage stamps are generally what defines significance for the public, and are often a reason why they are saved by collectors or historic enthusiasts. The Diwali stamps will certainly be in that category. So the Diwali stamp will be used and shared among millions in the United States and reach the far corners of the world, including Kazakhstan, to bring the message of light, peace and joy during this blessed season when the world celebrates these highest values, which are also the founding ideals of the United Nations. Unlike Minister Rybakov, I didn't have a chance to serve in India or in that part of the world, but in Kazakhstan, half of girls named Indira, if you know. If you ask the name of other half of our girls is Benazir. So it really uniting us. And Diwali stamp, I hope, also will bring hope of peace, security, development, human rights to all of us. I congratulate all of us with this celebration and this momentum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador. My minister has observed that today's event is not about the joys of stamp collecting. Probably I should have mentioned that from my childhood I am an avid stamp collector. And many years ago, as a junior diplomat working here in New York, I came across and have kept for decades a plain USPS envelope in which stamps were sold that carried what seemed to me a magic slogan: collect US commemoratives. They are history. The USPS Diwali stamp has made history. And with this United Nations dedication event, we are making this history global. I'm honored to give the floor to a distinguished representative of the publisher and owner of all Diwali stamps, that is before they change hands, the postmaster of the diplomatic capital of the world, and what many believe is the greatest city in the world, Mr. Kevin Crusil. You have the floor.
Wow, thank you for that kind introduction. And I must say, everyone should get a drum beat introduction. This was not rehearsed. I would like to say first, I'm very impressed that our distinguished guests today are so educated with the commemorative stamps, that you guys did your homework. So as everyone was talking, I was ripping apart my speech because I don't want to repeat everything and make you listen to it again. However, I am Kevin Crusil, Postmaster Manhattan. I'm extremely excited to be here tonight to celebrate the Diwali stamp and the hard work of Ranju Batra that made this possible. If you heard, it's very difficult to get a stamp commissioned and actually printed. It takes years, thousands of submissions, and there's a lot of hard work. So on behalf of the United States Postal Service, I'd like to sincerely thank all our honored guests that's gathered here today. As one of our nation's oldest public service institutions, the Postal Service regards it as an honor to celebrate the nation's diversity through our commemorative stamps. It's a special honor to celebrate this commemorative stamp, which is a symbol of good deeds, love, and peace, in this esteemed trustee council chamber, a place where world peace and good deeds are often discussed. We, the Postal Service, have issued commemorative stamps of cultures of people who have come together from around the world, reflecting the rich and multifaceted heritage of America. Ours is truly a world culture, and U.S. stamps allow us to weave together the unique threads of our nation's tapestry, the way your work weaves together the unique threads of global tapestry. The Postal Service is proud of its contributions and will continue to do everything to bind this great and diverse nation together. And as part of that mission, we'll continue to recognize the events and cultures that make America unique. This stamp commemorates the joyous celebration of Diwali and the Festival of Lights. Thanks to the tireless efforts of Ranju Batra and many people that she's worked with, this has become a reality. Not only is the stamp very popular across the United States, the meaning of Diwali will live on forever, as we heard, and it's listed right on the stamp. Thank you again, and thank you, Ranju, for inviting me tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the blueprint of your resolute individual action, your remarkable tenacity, and your commitment set a wonderful example of what one can do if we want to make our world better, more understanding, and more connected. An example to follow and an action to emulate. Chair of the Diwali Stamp Project, Mrs. Ranju Batra. You have the floor.
I am so very touched and humbled. Thank you, Ambassador Andre Gaskunis, Ambassador Syed Akbaruddin, Her Excellency Maruba Patricia K. Bota, Minister Radukov, and Ambassador Karat Abdurrahmanpur. Thank you to each and every amazing ambassador of each and every amazing nation who co-sponsored this universal message of peace. Diwali, light over darkness, good over evil. Exactly 2 months ago, on October 5th, this gorgeous Diwali stamp was unveiled and dedicated by the United States Postal Service with full official pomp and circumstance. I am delighted that Kevin Cosella, Postmaster for New York City, is with us today, as he was on October 5th. Today, however, my journey to Diwali Stamp has come full circle. Let me share the delightful facts as to why today is the right and proper conclusion of my successful journey. For many years, with our miracle daughter Angela and our son Neil, both born here and attending school, I became aware that all religious holidays were celebrated, but not Diwali. We celebrated Christmas, Hanukkah, Eid, Kwanzaa, and Lunar New Year. But on Diwali, I sent my kids to school, choosing education over faith. Of course, having to choose is unfair, as all our kids should have both. So in 2010, I thought of getting Diwali Stamp recognized. I thought of having Diwali recognized by getting a Diwali Stamp. After talking to many community leaders, I learned that many of them had tried and all had given up. But they supported my determination to focus on getting the Diwali Stamp and not stop until we got it. And I stuck with it to successfully pass the finish line. I designed many different paper petitions. The one I liked the most was where I put actual images of stamps already issued by USPS for Christmas, Eid, Kwanzaa, Lunar New Year and Hanukkah, with the message saying, "We are happy you have issued all these stamps. Now it is time for Diwali Stamp." From my side, those petitions were messages of peace. And with that, I started the drive of collecting signatures. A tedious job, but I incorporated this grassroots efforts into my daily life. So wherever I went, I collected signatures and addresses at luncheons, dinners, restaurants, and stores. I even asked members of the UN community to sign the paper petitions, ambassadors, their spouses, and their children, such as Reem Mansour, the daughter of Palestinian ambassador Riyad Mansour, right here with us. And Reem signed the petition and she wrote, "I support the Diwali Stamp. It is time for you to create one." My tens of thousands of paper petitions were signed not only by Hindus, Sikhs, Jains, and Buddhists, but also by Christians, Jews, Muslims, and every other faith and culture. They were signed by regular people and powerful people. I got support from politicians and diplomats. Everyone signed the petitions and helped in some way, especially the media, who kept my dream of a Diwali Stamp alive during the tough, long years. And after the stamp was approved and had yet to be issued, I single out Air India. Air India is somewhere here, right here. I single out Air India for supporting my desire to make the Diwali Stamp the #1 bestseller in USPS's history, a goal I successfully achieved by personally sending over 170,000 the Diwali Stamp for day one, with all 23 countries who joined this event: Belarus, India, Armenia, Austria, Azerbaijan, Cyprus, France, Georgia, Germany, Honduras, Israel, Kazakhstan, Kuwait, Moldova, Morocco, Nepal, Panama, Sri Lanka, Tunisia, Ukraine, the United Kingdom, Vietnam, and the Permanent Observer Mission of the State of Palestine. I feel honored by all the support I got and the support I am getting today. I am basking in the love of every nation who stood up for peace, for mutual respect of every faith, person, and nation. Today's celebration is not of a religion, not of a nation, but it is of the spirit of harmonious inclusiveness and cultural understanding that all religions deserve. While my journey took 7 years, Diwali Stamp is here forever. And it will be a matter of pride for generations to come, not only because it is a forever stamp, but because we, the human family, did it together with the support of every faith, because all of us are entitled to a better and peaceful tomorrow, no matter where we were born and no matter how we pray. In this digital age, while this small piece of paper called Diwali Stamp celebrates the living heritage of over 1 million people. Actually, it has brought together all 7 billion of us as one human family. So I, as chair of Diwali Stamp project, wish each of you a happy Diwali, a message of human unity and human peace. Thank you to each of you, and I thank God for the joy, support, and unity shown here today. Thank you.
Madam President, and friends all. Andre, I recall well the hospitality of Georgia's Khan Lika, which was enjoyed by Azerbaijan's Action Medvedev, yourself, Ranju, and I, when an idea was born. I thank you, Andre, for many things, including your timely and principled leadership here, and for sharing with me your insights, along with Ukraine's Yuri Sergeyev and his successor, Volodymyr Yelchenko, of necessary lessons learned and yet to be learned in the 30 years since Chernobyl, and the role of the strong north wind in causing nearly 70% of the 1 million or so cancer deaths that occurred in Belarus since 1986. Man and nature, working together by design or accident, can grow crops or rain death from the sky. To all those who think that the wars of the last decade, or the last century, or the last millennium continue to hold us prisoner, today's celebration of the Diwali Stamp proves that hope for mutually respectful and mutually fair global peace is not a fantasy, but a dream that can become real, as Ranju has proven with the Diwali Stamp. I warmly thank India's star ambassador, Syed Akbaruddin, for his support and leadership. He just recently lit up the entire UN building with Diwali, with the same deal without the forever though, that the postal office owns. I take great pride in India, a nation where all religions were, are, and will be respectfully welcomed. The oldest synagogue in the world is in India. Churches, temples, and mosques are places of reverence and serenity. I visited Kiev earlier this year and adopted Cathedral Vladimir after being allowed to touch the holy remains of St. Barbara, who died in 316, when the priest opened the silver coffin for me as part of his blessing for our miracle daughter Angela. My father's best friend was Mia Marilai in India, this despite the needlessly painful partition of 1947, and my mother being shot in her foot when my family came to India as refugees. I recall my late dad, the Honorable Sadanand Bhakta, the greatest man I've ever known, and my loving mother, Rajkaur, with reverence, for they taught me the love of others. The Jewish sage Hillel said the same thing. That which is hateful to you, do not unto another. This is the whole Torah, the rest is commentary. In the Holy Bible, please see Luke at 6:31 or Matthew at 7:12. And the Holy Quran, the Golden Rule is at 4:36, 13:22, 41:34, 28:54, and 42:40. As a result today, I count among my dearest friends not just those who are here in person or as co-sponsors, but many across the globe doing God's work through diplomacy in keeping the peace. I especially recall my dear friends Hussein Haroon, who as then Pakistan Security Council ambassador, along with India's then Security Council Ambassador Hardeep Singh Puri, jointly celebrated the 25th Silver Diwali anniversary gala dinner at the Pierre Hotel in 2012, hosted by none other than the then president of the Association of Indians in America in New York, my hardworking wife, Rhonda. In March 2016, Kazakh President Nazarbayev issued his 21st Century World Manifesto, seeking a nuclear weapons-free world, which I lovingly characterized as war on war. And I'm happy to note that my friend, the Kazakh Foreign Minister, Erlan Idrisov, happily adopted my verbiage and used it on September 22nd of this year at the 71st High-Level General Debate. The pages of history that document scientific and mathematical discoveries by the Greeks, Egyptians, the Jews, the Indians, the Philistines, the Romans, the Mongols, Chinese, and during the Islamic and Italian Renaissance are the very bedrock of our collective achievement. Curiously, but most disturbing, the blood-soaked pages of history are all from religious wars. Ironically, the most brutal violence is perpetrated in the name of God. So you ask, what does any of that have to do with today's celebration of a Diwali stamp and the lovely lady who made it happen? To me, as the minister has spoken, and as every other speaker has, everything. For the recipe that Ranju painstakingly employed over 7 years, consent-based support from good people willing to pledge their sacred honor, something we know from 1776, with their signature or their John Hancock, is the exact path for the United Nations to honor and Hiroshima after Pearl Harbor. But we must follow Ranju's recipe of mutually respectful religious peace and religious celebration. Indeed, the best-loved Pope, Pope Francis, in his first year as a shepherd in 2013 said, this year, as nations, for all Muslims, especially those who are religious leaders. Today's event is celebrated by 23 nations, of which 12 are Christian, 1 Jewish, 6 Muslim, 2 Buddhist, 2 Hindus. So 23 nations spread across the world are celebrating not only the Postal Service Diwali stamp or Ranju's perfect recipe for the United Nations, they're celebrating hope itself. I am grateful that Ranju dragged me along on our journey to our Diwali stamp, even as I admit I may have been upset with her for keeping the light on. And to each of the co-sponsors, I thank you on behalf of my family for the singular honor bestowed here today. Deeply touched. I'm even more touched, in fact, 1 billion times, on behalf of all who celebrate Diwali. And 6 billion more times by all who celebrate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ravi. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this brings to a close our ceremony of dedication of the USPS Diwali Stamp. On behalf of the organizers and sponsors of this event, I warmly thank you for the honor of your attendance. Please